All right, back with another video. So Pierre Poilievre just released an ad. I haven't watched it yet, but I see that it's about 5 minutes long, and every time he puts out an ad, it's usually really, really good. So I definitely want to have a look at that with you guys and get your opinion on it. Now, before we do, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really, really does help grow the channel, and I appreciate every single one of you so much. So let's get into this. It's a few minutes long, then we'll talk about it after like usual.
Well, somebody wants to tell you where to go and how to get there. It's the Liberal government's new attempt to ban your gas-powered vehicles. Starting next year, they plan to bring in what's called a zero-emissions vehicle mandate that becomes more and more stringent until it bans gas-powered vehicles altogether. In 2026, the federal government will begin phasing in the mandate, with automotive manufacturers and exporters forced to meet a target of 20% of sales in the, quote, zero-emitting category. That means electric. Raising that to 60% by 2030 and 100% by 2035. So in 10 years, gas-powered vehicle sales will be banned altogether. And now, manufacturers and importers that don't meet the quota must buy pricey credits as high as $20,000 a car, a cost that's obviously going to be passed on to consumers. So prices go up, choice goes down, and it's a decree from a government that thinks it knows better than the rest of us, and is perfectly willing to make our lives more expensive and difficult to pay for it. And Mark Carney wants to go even further. Back in 2021, in his book Values, he said, quote,
"A host of other fiscal and regulatory policies made by governments can be highly effective in setting out the contours of a net zero economy, including regulations to phase out the sale of new internal combustion vehicles in the next decade."
So if you followed that schedule, they'd be banned altogether by 2031, even faster than the current Liberal government plan. But let's be honest, Canada is not a small, flat, warm country that is easy to get around. It's a vast, cold, resource-producing country where millions of us drive long distances to get to work, feed our families, and haul supplies, and yet the Liberal government wants to ban the technology that works the best, internal combustion engines, and force us all into driving electric vehicles, whether the grid is ready or not, whether the charging network exists or not, or whether we can afford it or not. The CAA found that EVs lose 40% of their battery life in cold weather, and that was tested in just -7 to -15 weather conditions, practically balmy compared to winters in Winnipeg, Thunder Bay, and much of rural Canada. This is not about reducing emissions. It's about imposing elite ideology on the common people. Look, if you want to drive an electric vehicle, great. I'm all for free choice. But despite the hype, they don't work for everyone. They cost about 15 grand more.
Yeah, he's right. You know, like they're more expensive. They're not that reliable in the winter. They take forever to charge and you don't get that much out of it. And by the way, yesterday in question period, Steve McKinnon was going crazy, saying that, oh, we believe in choice and we're not out to ban certain types of cars, and oh, we want you to be able to choose which car you drive. No, they don't. It's very clear. It's even on the Liberal website. For some reason, I tried to pull it up for this video, but it wouldn't show up. Maybe they took it down from their website. Maybe that page doesn't exist anymore, but either way, I have it on my phone, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Unfortunately, I can't share my phone on this video, but it's there if you want to have a look. But yet he would criticize the conservatives for lying and making up conspiracy theories. My God. I wonder if they ever get sick of themselves.
Than a gas equivalent, even after government subsidies. And those subsidies, they don't fall from the sky. They come out of your pocket in the form of the taxes that pay for them. Now, thanks to the ZEV mandate, car companies will have to make up the fines and costs of compliance by just jacking up the price that you pay when you buy your vehicle. That means we'll pay more even if we don't want or can't use an EV. And let's talk about the grid. Right now, EVs make up just 8 to 10% of new cars in Canada, yet our grid is already stretched. What happens when that number jumps to 100%? Ask Ontario Hydro, BC Hydro, or Hydro-Quebec how ready they are to charge tens of millions of electric vehicles every single night on top of the growing residential and industrial demand. Spoiler alert, they're not ready. So how do the Liberals plan to bridge the gap? Well, more debt, more taxes, and more unreliability. It's funny, these are the same people that say that you should use less air conditioning in the summer to save money for the grid because it's overwhelmed and over-demanded right now. but then they force you to buy an electric vehicle that will place even more demands on
Great
you.
point.
Who's this going to hurt? Who's going to pay the price? Well, it's going to be the single mom in Sudbury who drives 30 minutes to drop off her kids, or the tradesman in Kamloops hauling tools in a Ford F-150. It's the senior in Cape Breton who wants to buy a used Corolla for a good price because it runs great and it's affordable to gas and maintain. The people the liberal elite never think about will pay the highest price. This isn't about the environment. It's about control. They're imposing a
100%.
top-down command and control scheme designed in boardrooms, not garages. They didn't ask us what we wanted. They dictated. And now we'll pay more to get less. Fewer choices, higher costs, longer wait times, all in the middle of a cost of living crisis. So here's what we conservatives will do. We will repeal the ZEV mandate, scrap the industrial carbon tax, cancel the liberal fuel standards that punish us and make our lives more expensive. We'll trust Canadians, you, to make your own choices. And we'll unleash the power of the free market to produce better cars at lower prices that travel longer distances with less fuel. Competition and choice, not bureaucracy and rules, will incentivize businesses to make better products at lower prices, because we believe technology should serve people and not the other way around. We'll maximize personal freedom and choice. So you decide. You should be free to decide what you say, what you think, and what you drive. We need a smaller government with bigger citizens. The state should be servant and
Yes.
not master.
Yes.
It's time to bring home control of our lives, our cars, and our choices. It's time to put you back in the driver's seat.
I mean, that was fantastic. But what he said out there at the last, or at the end there, that was fantastic. I mean, I completely agree. That's why I don't like big government. The government's job is to get elected, serve us, and stay the hell out of our lives. You are elected to make sure that, taxpayer money is being spent on good ideas that help improve our lives, not to control our lives, not to tell us what we need to do. Oh, if you don't get a certain medication, you're racist and you're misogynistic, and if you don't want to drive an electric car, oh, that means you don't care about the... Shut up. That's not your job. You want to fund products and services that actually help? Fine. Don't tell us how immoral we are if we disagree with you, you high-class, elite morons. That's why we need small government. We don't need all of our taxpayer money funding salaries for people who sit around and spin on their chair in the office all day. Get nothing done but spending money, sending money to other countries that don't help us. We have homeless children in Canada. Think about that for a second. We got money for other countries while we got kids on the street, kids who don't have enough food. It's a joke. I'm really, really sick of it. Do your job for this country. You were elected by Canada, not some people from another country. If down the line you get rid of the debt and we get rid of, poverty and all these other good things start to happen, and we start to have a surplus of money where it's like, hey, there's some war-torn country that needs some help rebuilding. Okay. You can look into doing something like that if it's actually humanitarian aid. Not funding wars, not funding social progressive programs in other countries where they don't even care about it. You know what I'm talking about. That's not what we need. That's not the government's job. You put your country first, you put your citizens first, and you do your job and understand one thing very clearly. They are not the boss. We are. Pierre gets that. So say what you want about conservatives and liberals, oh, they're all the same thing. I used to believe that. Pierre seems different. I could be very naive in saying that. Who knows? Maybe he gets in one day and completely screws us. I just don't see that happening. He genuinely seems like he cares about Canadians. There's been a bunch of people posting on X, hey, Pierre Poilievre called me to thank his volunteers, and there were even some people who have big YouTube channels who did a lot of work for Pierre Poilievre, like the Pleb and Jing Leahy, who's on X. They were getting calls from Pierre Poilievre saying, hey man, thanks for the work. Do you think Mark Carney did that? Even once? No. Mark Carney does not care about Canada. He hasn't lived in Canada for most of his life. This guy's a globalist, he's an elitist, and he's a banker. That's all he is. And unfortunately, right now, we are in the honeymoon phase of Mark Carney's time in office. But that's going to go away. We're already 2 months in about. How much longer is it going to last? 6 months? A year? Probably not. And then all of a sudden, you're going to start to see the polls start to change back. And again, this is a guess, of course. Of course, Mark Carney could do a good job. I just don't see it happening. It's not what the Liberal Party's mandate is. It's to control and tell you what to do and scare you. And with this next future generation coming up, getting out of school, they're going to be able to vote. They're going to have to start paying these taxes and paying these bills, paying their rent. They're not going to be happy with what they see. And I do think you're going to have a wave of conservatives, especially amongst Generation Alpha, which as of, 2029, you'll have the first wave of Gen Alpha who hit 18. These are going to be some of the most conservative little bastards you've ever seen in your life. Especially from a Canadian standpoint. Right? I'm not saying that they're a bunch of far right-wing crazy people. I'm just saying they're going to be staunchly conservative, populist conservative, which is what Pierre is kind of running his campaign on. He's not running it as a far-right guy. He's running it as a populist who cares about his country and puts his country first. And a lot of these young kids are going to believe him, and they should, because what else do they have? Pierre's a career politician. Oh, okay. Do you trust bankers? I completely understand not trusting politicians. You trust a banker? Come on, man. It's insane. But we'll see. We might be going to an election in the next couple of years or less. Who knows? We'll have to see. But we got a lot of interesting things happening, especially once the summer vacation is over. Now it'll have been, 5-6 months that Mark Carney's in office. Let's see what the deal with Trump looks like. Let's see if, housing comes down a little bit. Let's see if they actually follow through with building more of these houses throughout the summer, etc., etc., etc. Pierre probably has his by-election, which he will win. And then next thing you know, in October or September, I think they come back in September or late September, something like that, Pierre will be back in the House of Commons. And then in January, he's got a leadership review, which I think he will pass. And I think you're going to see his support when he returns to the House of Commons, when he gets a standing ovation from his conservative members. But either way, we got a lot to look forward to, a lot to cover. A lot of things are going to happen in the next 6 months or so. And I completely enjoy doing this. I really can't wait for more things to happen. I hope it's not too much of a boring summer. I always want things to cover, of course, but we'll see. But I look forward to going on this ride and for you guys to follow along with me. But let me know what you guys think about Pierre Poilievre's ad. Do you agree with him? And what do you agree with him about? And if you disagree with him, let me know that too. And again, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps grow the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back shortly with a new one.